Hello and welcome to another season of In the Envelope, an awards podcast. I am your host, Jack Smart, awards editor at Backstage. I'm here to give you a front row seat to the industry's most exciting awards races. Who is in the running? What makes awards-worthy film and television? How can you, listener, win a statue of your own? We're sitting down with actors to get that insider's perspective on these questions and more, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get a tantalizing glimpse in the envelope. So here we are, Jamie, for another round of In the Envelope. Hi.
We're back for more punishment.
Yes, we are. We're back to the front lines of the races. This time with some film as well as TV stars thrown in there.
Yeah.
How have you been?
I'm good. I've got the sniffles, so I don't sound my best, unfortunately. It's been terrible.
Jamie, you're a voice actor and podcast host.
I know, this is not ideal, but it would be easier to lose a leg doing this job. but how are you? How are you anyway?
I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen either. I'm good. I've been gearing up for, I guess, what is known as Film Awards season.
Yeah.
As well as TV. I mean, TV is year-round, frankly. So The Emmys are over, and we were thrilled, of course. You and I were both thrilled to see guests of In the Envelope go on to win Emmy Awards in September.
Have you recovered from Ann Dowd winning yet?
You know, I kind of feel like I haven't really thought about it, so no.
Oh.
I haven't recovered because I think in some ways I'm still in denial. I'm still sort of in shock that she won. What did you think? I was really shocked.
Yeah, I was quite shocked, and absolutely, obviously,
I mean, no one was
wonderful.
more shocked than Ann Dowd, but
no, because she wasn't. You know, she's not hugely well known even now, but really, that was such a wonderful result. I think everyone was pleased.
I mean, we just loved her because of that spectacular interview she gave.
Yeah,
and we have more of those lined up, don't we?
We do.
We do indeed. In fact, we already have one in the bag. I'm wondering if we should go ahead and introduce our first guest of season 2 of this podcast.
We should do.
His name is Richard Jenkins. For those of you who have not been reading the episode description of this podcast episode, Richard Jenkins is the star of the upcoming Guillermo del Toro movie, The Shape of Water. And he plays a closeted gay next-door neighbor of Sally Hawkins, who plays the main character. His name is Giles, and I think this role really exemplifies like everything that makes Richard Jenkins such a fascinating actor. And he's kind of one of those actors where it's hard to put a finger on what makes him so great.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on under the surface, but as he puts it, it's just about living your life on the screen.
Yes. And I was interested to hear his thoughts on your question about being a character actor and what that means to him. So that was interesting.
Well, and he's worked steadily throughout the industry. We talked a little bit about the fact that he got started in theater. Film largely was the goal for a long time, but it wasn't until his mid-30s that he really started going out for film and making that priority number one. And he's just one of those. He's a working actor. He's worked steadily up to an Oscar nomination in a film called The Visitor from a couple of years back. He has a Primetime Emmy Award for HBO miniseries Olive Kitteridge, which co-starred his longtime friend, Frances McDormand. And probably my favorite part of this interview is the way he talks about Frances. Because she's amazing, of course, and he can kind of get to why she's amazing. He's worked with her so intensely.
Yeah, the admiration was clear.
Yeah, and the emotion, just remembering their work together in multiple projects, actually. And I do think that there will continue to be awards attention for Richard Jenkins because The Shape of Water is just really special. It's really unreal. Have you seen it, Jamie?
I haven't seen it yet, no, but I haven't seen it, but it sounds great. It really does. And my wife and I will definitely watch it. I kind of feel like Richard Jenkins is the Ann Dowd of this season.
Yes.
Don't you?
Yes. And that bodes well for him.
Yes, it does.
Yes. He was full of wisdom and very much the kind of guru for the working actor.
Yeah.
Should we roll the tape?
I think so.
Richard Jenkins is an Academy Award-nominated actor for The Visitor and Emmy Award winner for Olive Kitteridge. He worked at the Trinity Repertory Company in Providence, Rhode Island, including serving as their artistic director, before transitioning to film and TV. He appears in the upcoming Fox Searchlight Pictures film from Guillermo del Toro, The Shape of Water. Here it is, our interview with Richard Jenkins. Tell me about The Shape of Water. As if I have not seen it. Tell me about your part in Shape of Water.
Oh, it's a story. It's so hard to explain. It really is. Mm-hmm. It's just hard to explain. And if you tell too much, then you give it away. It's a story of a woman who falls in love with this creature. And I play her best friend and next-door neighbor. And it's Sally Hawkins and me and Michael Shannon and Michael Stuhlbarg, Octavia Spencer, and it's a Guillermo del Toro movie. It's beautiful. It's funny. It's a little scary. It's a heist movie. It's a romance. It's a million things. But it's really a movie about love.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And how did you get involved? Did you audition?
No. Guillermo sent me an email.
Wonderful.
And said,
Amazing.
I want you to play Giles.
Mm-hmm.
Tell I love this script. And he said, tell me if you love this script as much as I do. Mm. And I read it, and the next day I wrote back and said, I think I do. And that was it. How
did you know him?
I didn't know him. Never met him.
He emailed out of the blue?
Yeah.
But obviously you were dying to work with him. I mean, everyone would.
I did.
Every actor.
I knew his stuff. I'd seen Pan's Labyrinth, but yeah, it was just odd. It was great. Yeah. It was great.
How often does that happen?
Well, it happens once in a while. Okay. You just, you get a call, you get an email. Yeah.
I'm always curious, like at this point in your acting career, like how many of these opportunities come from auditions or how many come from offers?
I don't audition anymore.
No.
I would.
Yeah.
I would. It's not that I wouldn't, but I haven't auditioned for a long time.
What are your thoughts on auditioning?
I never minded it because it was a chance to act. Mm-hmm. Because if you auditioned and they gave you the part, you knew that you were what they were looking for. If sometimes they offered to you, and I always had this feeling, if they offered it to you and you showed up and you start doing the scene, they go, really? Geez, that's not what I thought we were going to get. Yeah. So
and then that's terrifying.
Yeah, it can be. But, auditioning, I live in Rhode Island, and I used to have to come to New York and audition. I did that for 15 years, sometimes 4 or 5 times a week. So it was a pain, but I never minded.
Yeah. Was that auditioning for on-screen stuff?
Yeah.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you were up in Rhode Island with Trinity Repertory Company.
I was, yeah.
And you were the artistic director.
I was.
Which I want to ask you about as well. But this was as your film and TV was kind of taking off, so you would come to New York for that.
This is back in the day when there was no Acela Express, and we had one car, and my wife would need the car. She was a teacher, and so I'd take the train in, and it was a 4.5, 5-hour train ride.
For a 5-minute audition?
Yeah, well, sometimes, okay, freeze, don't move. That would be my line. Okay, thank you. And I was like, oh, God, I got a 5-hour train ride to go home. And so I get on the train, I get back, I get the phone call. Could you come in tomorrow? Okay, so go back in.
Whoa.
Because I knew if I started using the excuse of, it's such a long ride, they'd stop calling. So
interesting. So it was just perseverance. It was just determination to make it happen. It's just
it was. I was 36 when I started to do movies, and I just didn't want to. I appreciated how fortunate I was, so I just didn't want to lose that, and so it was just part of the deal. You just got on the train.
Yeah. So with that attitude, you're not devastated when you have the one-line audition, freeze, don't move.
It was always hard.
And then if you get rejected, is that always just...
Oh, rejection's never easy,
Yeah.
So are you saying you don't like me? Is that what you're saying? Right. Yeah, that's. It may not be. It usually isn't, but that's what you hear.
Totally, because it's your person. You are your own instrument.
Absolutely. You're it. That's very good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how you can't take it personally.
You are all you have.
Yeah.
And that's, and you're enough, actually. But it's hard to believe.
Right.
it's hard to believe sometimes that that takes a while before you to say, well, this is it. I might as well expose who I am and not try to hide it.
Well, I feel like, of course it's hard. I feel like it must be hard because of the rejections. It's drilled into your head that you're not.
They basically say we don't like you, right. But it never got. I mean, it would get me down, but it never. Yeah. I never thought about quitting.
Right. And so this was at the film stage. You said you were 36. Mm-hmm. And before then, take me through it. You moved to Rhode Island to join this theater company?
I was apprentice. I was hired as an apprentice at Trinity Repertory Company. Wow. And now I'll tell you the story about this. Is Adrian Hall, this 6'4" Texan who he kind of talks like he was just this genius. I came right out of college, and this is the first place I went to, and I auditioned for him in New York, and the guy before me had a guitar, and he was singing and playing the guitar, and I could hear them clapping and laughing in there, and I thought, oh God, this is going to be. So I'm next. So I go in and I read this prepared thing, and they go, thank you, and I walk out. So I get a call, and they say they hired you as an apprentice. I said, really?
Wow.
So we got in the car, packed up, drove out to Rhode Island from Illinois.
Wow.
And the second show, really the first show with him, he said to me, okay, now you could never remember your name. He would call you Thing or something. Now you play the guitar. You strum the guitar. Strum the guitar. I said, Adrian, I don't play the guitar. He goes, yeah. I want you to play the guitar here. You play the guitar. I said, Adrian, I don't play the guitar. Uh-oh. He looked at me. He said, well, darling, that's why I hired you.
Did he think you were the other guy?
He thought I was the other guy. And
that's how you start. You launch your theater career.
And I came home and I said, I think we're going to have to leave here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you have to learn the guitar?
No, I didn't. I was just waiting for the shoe to drop, though.
How did you keep the gig?
I don't know, because it was like it was too much trouble to get rid of me.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's extraordinary, and the fact that you started as an apprentice and technically by mistake,
you
became the artistic director eventually.
Yeah, I did, and well, he was there he was a real mentor to me. He made me direct. I didn't want to direct. He goes, "Do it." I said, "I don't want to." He said, "It's good for you. Do it." So I started directing there. He gave me great opportunities as an actor, and he left, and he said, "I want you to be the artistic director." I said, "Adrian, that's the last thing I want to do." But so anyway, they came to me when they had some financial problems and said, would you be the interim artistic director for 1 year? And I said, if I don't, what will happen? They said, well, we'll close the doors for a year and then reopen it. And I said, well, if you close them, you'll never reopen it. I mean, not as Trinity rep. So I said, okay, I'll do it for a year. And, everybody in there was my friend, all the actors, much of the staff. So I stayed, and I started, and it ended up being 4 years. And because we were just hard to get out of debt, and we finally did. We got subscriptions. We're back on track, and then we found Oscar Eustis.
Oh, okay.
And Oscar took it over and was there 12 years before he came to the public.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
I see.
It was great.
So you were just thrown into the deep end of keeping a
I was. There was a part of me that wondered if I wanted to see if I could do it.
Yeah.
It was, but I knew after 3 weeks that I was not an artistic director. I didn't like what comes with the job, fundraising. It's like, I would say stuff like, they would say, why should we give to your theater? I said, it's not my theater, it's your theater. You want it, you got to pay for it. Come on, what are you talking about, my theater? I know this. It's your theater, it's the city's theater, it's the state's theater. Come on. It was like, no, you can't say that.
Scaring them off, yeah.
Yeah, but and they would say, when you get your financial house in order, come back and see us. I said, well, if I get my financial house in order, why would I have to come back and see you?
Right.
All these fundraising groups were
You're the solution.
I was not good to fundraiser.
And you wanted to be mostly on stage. I
wanted to be in movies. That's what I wanted. Okay. And I was starting to do film and television. Gotcha. And so when I took the job, I said, listen, if something comes along that I really want to do, I'm going to go do it. Now you have to that has to be okay with you, because this is not going to be my life as an artistic director.
And did you know why did you want that? Why film and why not continuing theater? Was that always the dream?
I wanted to be in movies.
So how did theater come first? Was it kind of...
Well, it was the option was there for theater.
Yeah.
I went to a small school in Bloomington, Illinois Wesleyan.
Mm-hmm.
I had done 5 lines in a play in high school, and I knew I wanted to be an actor from the time I was 10 years old. I don't know why, but I would go to the movies and go, that's what I want to do. So I went to school as a theater major, and I didn't have any experience. The first thing I saw was their production of Hamlet. I'd never seen Shakespeare.
Wow.
I think I read Hamlet in high school or something, but as we say, I skimmed it.
Yes. I did the same.
Yeah, we all did, Cliff Notes.
Totally.
But it was incredible. Here were these kids my age doing Shakespeare. And it intimidated me, and it blew me away. Yeah. But that's how it kind of began, I didn't audition for anything the whole freshman year because I was terrified. You had to audition, you had to sign up. I never did it, never did.
Terrifying, yeah.
And at the end of the year, the head of the department called me into his office, and he said, "Who are you?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I know you're in my class. I know you're there. I see your name." But he said, "We looked at the sheets. You haven't auditioned for anything." And I said, "Well, I don't know how. And I thought you were going to teach me."
Oh, okay.
And he said,
"You got to step up."
"Not a bad actor." He said, "Not a bad actor." And I was a bad actor. Not a bad answer. So he said, "Well, you got to participate. Come to summer stock." There was a summer stock program. I did that. And then that's how it kind of started. And he was fabulous to me. He could have thrown me out, but he didn't.
Sure. Well, taking that first leap is hard, especially when you're
it's terrifying.
High schooler.
It's terrifying,
Totally.
And the theater department was just full of life and fun. And, I had come from a small town in Illinois, and I had never been around these incredibly interesting, fun, cool people.
Yeah.
So, well, that's not that makes it sound like the people I was around weren't that
We're boring.
I actually no, that's not true because I had a great time growing up. I had a wonderful time, a lot of great friends.
Was there you saw this production of Hamlet, and that was obviously a huge turning point. Was there a film or a TV show that you saw that you remember being like the earliest? Oh, I should do that.
Well, when I was a kid. I just anything. I didn't matter what came to our town. I would go.
Cool.
I remember falling in love with Haley Mills. That was my. But the movie that really cemented it for me was Alfie. Not the remake, the original Alfie with Michael Caine. I was a freshman in college, and I was just thinking, what can I do this? Should I do this? Yeah. And I went to the movies by myself one day, and I watched this extraordinary performance, and about this man who was totally empty, and he didn't have a clue. And I thought,
oh, cool,
my God, and it just moved me. It just really moved me. And I thought, how do you do that? That's what I want to do. Is that possible?
Oh, interesting. Wow.
And so that it came along at a time when I really needed it. That film. I mean, I didn't go there looking for an answer. I just went to go to the movies, and I said, if I could ever possibly do something like that, my life would be okay.
Well, and that's not necessarily the kind of film that I would think would inspire that kind of response.
But what I saw was this guy who thought he had his life figured out, and the fact is, it was empty, totally empty. Wow. And he never, except he did say, if you ain't got your peace of mind, you ain't got nothing at the end of the movie. And sometimes I wonder, well, what's it all about? And that's the end of the film. But I don't know, it moved me. It just moved me.
And now you're an Oscar-nominated actor, Emmy-winning actor.
Oh my gosh!
Did you think Did you think that was in the future?
No.
Did you want that to be in the future?
Well, I just wanted to be a part of this world. I love film. I love the people in film. I love the process. I love the fact that you get together for 8-10 weeks, sometimes 2, 3, 4 weeks, and you all come together and you become friends, and you separate, and you may not see each other for 10 years, but you pick right up where you left. I just love the world. I've never liked knowing what was next in my life. I've never liked being able to tell you what was going to happen down the road 6 months from now, as opposed to even like 25 years. So I've always loved that. I'm part gypsy, I think.
That's interesting. Most often you hear the opposite of like, I have to have my life planned 6 months.
Oh, I can't. I just, when I was beginning, I remember people saying, well, there's no job security. And now today there's no job security anywhere. So, but that's what I loved about it. I loved the fact that I had, because right around the corner could be A Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Or The Visitor, or Olive Kitteridge. And it's a phone call, you know. Somebody, Fran McDormand called me up, said,
for Olive Kitteridge?
I want you to play Henry.
I loved that. I loved that show
and
so much.
So it's like it just came to me. Wow. And The Visitor, same thing.
You had worked with Frances before that.
I had done 4 movies with her. I hadn't. I mean, Burn After Reading. I was smitten with her. She wasn't interested in me in the film, but so I'd done like 3 Coen Brothers movies, and I'd done 4 movies with her, and we were friends. But it was, you know, it came out of left field. She said, "I want you to play Henry."
Well, and that was great casting too. I think that was a smart move on her part.
Well, it was such fun.
Yeah. That was a beautiful miniseries.
Oh, man. It was her baby, too.
Yeah.
She bought the rights to it.
Yeah.
She and Jane wrote the script, hired me, hired Lisa, went to HBO with it. Yeah, it's fantastic.
They're the best. You were saying before we began that you were joking that you really would not go back on stage. You really would not.
I don't know if I could.
But see, I mean, I would contest that, but you mentioned that it's just different muscles. Like, what is the difference between acting theater and acting screen?
No, there isn't any difference. Oh. But stamina, maybe.
Okay.
There really isn't. Acting is acting. I always found it hard when you were sitting on stage in a 1,200 seat theater and on a rocking chair. Sure is quiet out here tonight, yelling. But no, it's the same. It is the same.
Yeah, that stage whisper thing where you have to like from your gut, but you're still whispering.
Right, stage whisper so they can hear you in the back row.
Yeah, that's really
they'll
tough.
hear us. Yeah. It's but I loved. I mean, there's nothing like a great play, a great production.
Yeah.
There's a lot you invest in theater. You see a bad movie, you go back.
Right.
Sometimes you see 2 or 3 bad plays in a row. It's hard to get people back. It's an investment. But when you see something that is extraordinary, it just never goes away.
Yeah. Sitting live with a bunch of other people. Yeah.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah,
there is nothing like it. You're in the room together. You're all kind of breathing at the same time.
Yeah.
And when it works, it's just extraordinary.
Yeah. Well, in terms of, as someone who did move from the theater world to the film world, and consciously, right? For the most part.
This cappuccino is so good.
Do you want to plug Hyperbolic Audio?
It is. It's a cappuccino with cinnamon. It tastes like Thanksgiving. It's so good.
Yes. Now that fall is here. So if acting is acting, what is your advice for a theater actor who's stepping onto a set for the first time? What's like common mistakes, something that they should keep in mind?
I don't, it's... The thing that you find, everybody asks you to do a lot of things. You have to hit your mark. Just like in the theater, you have to be heard. If you're not heard, it's what's the point?
Right.
You have to hit your mark. Then they say, can you speak up? And then the light's better if you're angled over here. And it comes a time it's like you're helping so many people out that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is just trying to live your life in front of the camera. That's what you're supposed to be doing. And so, you do try to be helpful, but sometimes you just say, yeah, and then you go ahead and do what you want to do anyway. Because it can get – I found that early in my career that they were asking you to do a lot of things and if you did all those things right, that would be a good performance. It has nothing to do with that. It just has nothing to do with that.
It's about living your life.
It is. And sometimes they have to figure out how to catch that, how to find that. And you work with great sound people that can figure it out.
Right.
And really great DPs that just
totally.
They can figure it out, and you'll hit your light. You have to be there. You have to be seen.
Yeah.
But it can't be about that.
Yeah, you can't conform your performance to the requirements if it means that you're not doing it as honestly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so building that, living your life on screen, that just comes from training, and it comes from building up instincts, which of course you can do on stage.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. You just, you have to kind of wing it every time. You have to kind of step off the diving board and not know what's below, and it's terrifying. Yeah. But when it happens, you love that feeling and you want it again and again. And it doesn't matter if you're on stage or if you're on. It's like if you have a great performance on stage, usually the next show, if you're an idiot like me, you try to copy what you did the night before, and it just never works. Mm-hmm. It's just dead. It's dead. Once you make a decision as an actor, this is what it's going to be, it dies. The creative process dies. It's even when you're directing. If you say, the door to the house is there, first day of rehearsal, you're done.
That shuts down options.
A million options are shut down.
Wow, okay.
So you try to keep everything open to change as long as you can.
I see. I gotcha.
And even when you're shooting, every time the camera rolls, you have to deal with what's in front of you. Or you have to try to deal with what's in front of you. And again, live your life.
So it's not
Harold
so much about...
Guskin taught me that. Harold Guskin was a coach, a brilliant coach, that I actually was at the Indiana Theater Company, and he was a member of the company. He was older than we were, and it was a touring company of graduate students. And he was just better than we were. He was just better. And I heard he taught a class in his basement. And I said, could I take a class with you?
Yeah.
And he said, I wondered when you were going to ask me. And he's the one that just kind of turned the light bulb on for me.
Cool. Mm-hmm. And that I'm so fascinated by this idea of like, at what point do you make the choice as an actor? So much of acting is making those choices, but you're saying if you make that choice too early, you're shut down all the options.
You don't make choices. I mean, choices are decisions, and you do what you do. You know, it's one of those things where, for me, I was boring myself as an actor. It was just so if I knew I was boring myself, I had to be boring people watching me.
Right.
And I thought if this is the way I'm going to do this, I should do something else. There's got to be a better way. And Harold was just made it very simple and made one understand that it's you.
Yeah, it has to come from.
Yeah, it's all you have to offer is you.
Right.
I said, but I'm not that interested. Just stop. You're enough. You're enough.
Right. So it's about self-awareness, but it's also kind of about like respect almost.
Interesting. It is.
Holding yourself in like to have faith that you're not boring or to have faith that you're not.
And it's very hard for some of us to do. I mean, I found it, I wanted to be like Michael Caine.
Right.
I wanted to be at the time like, Laurence Olivier. And it's like that's a dead end because you're not going to be that.
No. And trying to imitate that isn't going to get you.
And those guys were not interested in being somebody else.
Right.
So it's when you're young, you see things that you admire and love, and you try to copy. And
yes.
Jason Robards I love Jason Robards, and but Jason Robards is Jason Robards, and
right.
So it's a journey. I never thought about doing anything else, but I just knew that I was not happy with the way I was performing. Right. And then you took these classes, you mean? Yeah. In his basement. He was amazing. Actually wrote a book called How to Stop Acting, a wonderful book. How to Stop Acting. Mm-hmm. I love this kind of anti-acting approach. Well, it means, what he's saying is how to act. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and how much of that has to do with just listening to your scene partner and responding to... There's a million, watching, listening, seeing what's going on around you, watching her. That's what I noticed with him on stage. He never missed anything. I mean, he was just there. Yeah. And, everybody has their own way. Everybody has their own demons. Everybody thinks about it in their own way. Yeah. But that was just for me. That's what I needed. Was Harold. And I'm going to go back to Frances McDormand because I feel like I'm under the impression that she has a similar approach. Yeah. She doesn't make the choice and sticks to that forever, and it's a boring logical choice. There. She comes from her own. She's there. Yeah. there were a couple of times that I'm getting moved thinking about it, where I said something to her and I just saw change in her face. You know, she was there all the time. Yeah.
And how much does that change take from each take in a scene?
Changes sometimes a lot.
Yeah. That always just blows my mind, because then it's up to the director to decide what version of that scene he wants.
Well, you know, it's interesting. It changes more when you trust the director. Because if you don't trust the director, you're afraid to give options.
I see.
Because it's like, and sometimes, you know, I think about scenes that I did. I think about scenes and stuff I did in movies 10 years ago, 15 years ago that I wish I could go back and do again. I think most actors do that.
Yeah.
I mean, because I usually like, I really sucked, man. What was I thinking? Why didn't I see that? Why wasn't I relaxed enough just to see that? You know,
totally.
It's like, well, that's what happens. You finish a scene and you're wired, and then you go home and you're relaxed, and you wake up in the morning and at night and you go, oh my God.
Yeah. I have the perfect.
You let go.
Yeah.
And God, we're talking about acting. This is odd.
You mean in an interview?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. I don't. You know, it's like I don't usually talk about that because it's so personal, and it does.
Of course.
What you say about it may not mean anything to some other act. I mean, it's just, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
I think if you talk to actors, you'll get a million stories about how they.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. I mean, and some great ones too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I believe it was on this podcast. Bryan Cranston described that feeling as the subway audition, when you've left an audition and you're taking the subway home and you just remember all the ways that you could do it. But I'm always relieved when actors admit that performances they've done, like actual, maybe it's captured on film and everything, you look back and you go, I wish I could go back.
Absolutely. I don't think there's a project I have that I don't wish I could go back. And some less than others. Some I'm happier with than others, you know. And then sometimes you do something that you had no idea it was going to be that.
Yeah.
And that's when it's great. That's when it's fun. And it makes perfect sense.
Is that when it's great? What if it's terrible? What if, like, the product is bad and you thought it was really good?
Well, you do. That's something Harold used to say to me. I would finish something. I'd say, is it good? And he would say, don't you know? Because you better know.
You better know. Yeah, yeah.
And
I saw The Disaster Artist last night, which is about the making of The Room, the most notoriously bad film in Hollywood. And it's all of that. It's everyone on that movie was sure that it was terrible, and it was, of course. But nobody backed out because it's just a job. It was just a movie.
Well, it's good that they were sure it's terrible. It's if you thought it was great and it was just terrible, then you go, now what do I do? I mean, do I trust myself ever again?
Not in touch, exactly.
You know, but you talk yourself into whatever it is. You don't talk yourself into it. I mean, I guess you do, but I don't think there's ever been a project that I've done that I don't think this has a chance. You tell yourself that this could really be great.
At greatness, yeah.
And most of them do have a chance. It's just so hard to make a good movie.
Absolutely.
It's tough.
Yeah. How do you feel about watching yourself on camera?
I got over it. You know,
it's like a muscle.
I used to I hated the way I looked.
Yeah.
You know, I just saw every flaw in my face, which is I have 20 million of them, and I thought it's like I one day looked in the mirror and go, hey, you know, I think I'll be in movies. It's like, what are you thinking? But
no,
you know, it's you know, it's who you are, and sometimes it's helpful to watch yourself. If you can get past the grotesque feeling you have, and sometimes it's gotten easier over the years. Let me say that.
Well, and I feel like that's part of like the self-awareness, just like journey inward of knowing who you are, is knowing what you look like and knowing
what you sound like, what you look like, you know, and it's not. I don't hate it anymore. You know, it's my face. I better get used to it. You know, it's like it's what it is.
You could change it.
I could. Oh, that would be good. But it was like I looked the other day and I thought, I'm bald all the way back there? Oh, my God.
There's a lot of that in Shape of Water.
I thought I had more hair than that. Oh, God.
Do you have a type going off of that? Do you consider yourself, or at any point in your career,
I play a lot of people who are 70 years old. A type? I don't know. I play a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm. But like earlier in your career, did you when you were going out for the freeze, don't move types of roles, did you have to kind of brand yourself as one thing?
No, I never did. I never kind of was anything. I was never. I always never quite right for anything. I don't think. I don't think I'm ever like, sometimes.
Even when you get something.
Yeah. Sometimes somebody walks in, they cast a part, he's maybe got 4 days work, and the actor walks in, you go, oh my God. He's perfect.
It's perfect. Yeah.
And then you realize there were probably 30 people that read that were just as wonderful. But maybe this guy was shorter or taller, and they needed this for,
right.
But I've always felt like I've never been right for anything, really right for it. I don't know if it's just me or, but I do read things and I think, I think I could I might be able to bring something to this. And then sometimes I read stuff and think there's so many guys who could do this better than me.
And so you say no?
I do.
Or you go, yeah.
I do, yeah.
Because you kind of have a gauge on what characters work.
I used to think I could do everything, but now I realize that's a fool's errand to think that's going to.
Sure.
Go looking for that.
Well, and what do you think about the term character actor? Like, what does that mean for you?
I don't know. I like it's what I am. I guess that's what I'd be. I guess I'm an actor. I'm not. It's like, okay, I'm a character actor. Yeah. It's
because some people use it just to mean something that's not like a leading actor, or some people only use it to mean like I only play like eccentric weirdos, or like.
I mean, it's I play a lot of different stuff. Yeah. I've had a chance to play a lot of different guys, and I've been really fortunate. So as long as I'm not. I mean, everybody is pigeonholed. I mean, you can't play. I mean, I don't think I could do Juliet very well.
I would love to see your
Juliet. Or my Romeo would. I don't know if I could climb that balcony, but it's you can't do everything. So
I guess not. There's only one lifetime too. You can't actually.
There's only one lifetime, right? But I try to find things that are interesting and something that I connect with.
Mm-hmm. And talk to me about that, the reading the script process. You must be such a good, I feel like actors at your level must be very good readers of scripts, of knowing, oh, that's really good writing. Oh, that's
Oh, you know it immediately. You know it immediately.
Yeah.
You mean you've read so many that aren't.
But that's also, because that comes from an instinct too, that's developed.
I did a movie called Bone Tomahawk. You've probably never heard of it. Probably.
No.
Yeah, it's a terrific movie. It's written by this guy, S. Craig Zahler. He did Brawl in Cell Block 99. It's just out now.
Oh, cool.
And, I mean, I played the backup deputy to Kurt Russell's sheriff.
Okay.
And I was reading it, and all I could think of as I was turning the page was, please don't die, please don't die, please don't die. I love this part and this script so much. That's really what I was thinking. Oh, come on, don't die, Chicory, don't die.
Which puts you on the edge of your seat, kind of.
Yeah, it was like, oh my gosh.
That's great.
Yeah, it just came out of left field.
Yeah. What do you remember about like reading those first scripts for 6 Feet Under?
Well, I only read the pilot. That's all they had.
Right.
And I had never read anything like it before.
Yeah.
And while we were filming it, we thought, we've got something here. Will anybody else think that? We just didn't know.
Yeah.
But it was an original piece of writing, especially for television, because television at that time, I mean, Sopranos was on the air. But
the golden age was not
that kind
quite.
of started. It was, and to get a script like this was like, really?
Yeah. Something with so many genres.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Tones. How do you go about playing a dead man?
I have no idea. In fact, I don't even know who the guy was because I changed depending on who I was talking to. I was their idea of me. So I was different with every child, every son, every daughter, my wife, everybody.
Talk about not making choices. I mean, talk about like...
Yeah, you just kind of you go with it.
Did you not have a backstory for that character?
Well, only what they talked about in the
like because the canon.
That if it's not on the page, if it's not in the script, it doesn't matter.
Is that true for every role?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I think so. Because
I've spoken to actors who just write novels. They just write their whole life story.
I know. And we all have our different ways of going. Because I think every clue. But those novels they write probably come from the script.
Yeah,
that they find these ideas through the script, and it's a jumping off place for them. But if you do something, I find if you do something that's if walk around with your finger up your nose for the whole movie because this is kind of it's an extreme example because you say, oh, I think this guy had broken his nose and his nose bleeds and he has to keep his finger, and you never talk about it in the movie. It's just weird.
That's just weird. Yeah.
So if it isn't on the page, and that's where the clues are for any person you're playing. And sometimes you'll come up with something and a writer will go, where did that come from? I said, well, you wrote it.
Yeah.
Where? Right here.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
As long as you can back it up and not just say.
It's just that's where your ideas come from.
Yeah. It all comes back to writing. It all comes back to the page.
It does.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about The Shape of Water.
Happily.
What is it like working with Sally Hawkins, especially in this role? The two of you had to do a lot of nonverbal communication and a lot of almost, it felt choreographed.
It was actually pretty free.
Yeah.
It was. She is. I thought it was important, and when I read the script, that we had to be friends. That's what the script said to me. It's like, and even then, I didn't really know how good of a friend she was until 3/4 of the movie was over. That he realizes that this is where his. I mean, he's been. It's like, there's no place like home. He'd been searching and searching, like Dorothy, and he comes to find out that you're my only friend.
Yeah. Oh, I got that. Yeah.
But
they need each other so badly.
They do. And he kind of, not dismisses her, but he thinks he's the mentor and she's the student, and with movie musicals, and we'll do this, and we'll go to the pie shop together. Just let me handle it. I'll be, don't make a scene, and and so we had a rehearsal, and we became friends instantly, and as I said to her, I've said this many times in interviews, I said, you're my friend now, and there's nothing you can do about it. I adore her. I think she's spectacular in this movie.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. I just think it's just such a beautiful performance.
I try to wrap my head around the amount of work that must have gone into her performance, and I can't even get there.
Come on, man. I said all her lines. I mean,
you literally did.
Come on.
She has no lines in this movie.
No, she has no lines.
Which is really extraordinary.
She's mute in the movie, and she signs.
Yeah.
And
this is why I'm fascinated by chemistry. Some actors really have it together.
Well, when you trust each other and you like each other, you're relaxed with each other. And relaxation is a huge part of this whole thing. Just being at home, in front of the camera, that's a really big thing. Yeah. And,
sure.
We laughed a lot. She's hysterically funny. And she was always up for anything. Yeah. It was never like,
risks.
I don't think I should do. Yeah. No, she's the real deal. Sally Hawkins, the real deal.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
And how much direction did you get in any of those scenes?
Well, Guillermo, he lets you bring what you bring. Yeah, but he has a world that he knows about that you just kind of think you do until you see the movie and you go, oh, okay. Yeah. That if you step out of there, and he'll say, he'll bring you back in.
Cool.
But he was great. He let us play. There's the big scene is when she's telling me and making me repeat what she says about helping her.
And you're refusing.
And my refusing. Well, we had rehearsed that. Sally and I just together, we just hung out and rehearsed it, and just to be friends. And it was always different. And we came to shoot it, and it was totally different. And she hit me in one take. I looked at my watch, which wasn't any other take. I looked at my watch while she was signing. She smacked me. And then I said something about, well, you hit me. And which just was a response to that. And why did you hit me? And then all of a sudden, I think the whole thing, you realized how serious this whole thing was.
Yeah.
The stakes.
So the hit was not in the script. But it did end up in the movie, right? Yes. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. I love when an actor enhances the script in that way.
Well, I mean, it's not
organically.
Like, people say, oh, you improvise. No, not really. It's there in the script. Yeah. It's there. That's what this scene is about. This is so important to her. Yeah. I didn't ad-lib very much in this movie. It's not like, I think the line, interesting guy, I said to her after and touched my arm and put his hand on my head. And I said, interesting guy.
It's a great line.
Because it's there. It's like, this is your boyfriend's. He's quite a guy. I go from calling him a fish in a tank to your fiance.
And somehow all of that is in, like as you say, the world of this.
It's in the world. It's like
film.
It's easy. It's not something you're looking for or you're trying to find another line. It's just you're there and it just makes sense and you say it. And if it was wrong, Guillermo would go no.
Right.
But Guillermo was hilarious. I said, Guillermo, I'd like to try this scene. I'm going to do something different. And he goes, okay, fine. So I changed it up and did it differently. He goes, good. I said, maybe we should cover it in a different way in case you don't like it. He said, Richard, we are not that kind of men. We make up our mind. We stick with it. Oh. And about an hour later, he comes over and he goes, I think we'll shoot it again in a different way just in case.
And he's still a little bit of a perfectionist.
He's hilarious.
He must be the kind of director where, as you say, like seeing the final product is just like completely different from what you had envisioned and what
blew my mind. Yeah. I forgot I was in it.
Really?
I never get lost in a movie.
That's cool.
Usually I was just like, and then I'd show up and go, oh, geez, there. I flipped out.
Yeah.
I saw it. I had no idea how he was going to cut it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I say it's a kind of film language that you just don't see anymore.
No, yeah, and I think that's why it feels like an instant classic.
It's like what movies can do.
Yeah,
and they just don't do it that often. I mean, I walked on the set, and there was my set and Sally's apartment and my apartment, and this is something I've said a million times, but it's true. It was everything in it was authentic, but nothing was real. It was a movie. Oh. It was a concept.
Yeah, that's in keeping with his style too.
Absolutely. The color, the peeling, it was like beautiful poverty.
Yeah,
the peeling paint was red and underneath was a green coat of paint and it's the other color. And it was it was just that hallway. That hallway was the most beautiful hallway.
Totally.
I love being on my set in my apartment.
Yeah. Well, I'm production design, correct me if I'm wrong, really does affect the process of creating a character or a scene or all informs.
Costumes, everything. Yeah. Usually costumes I don't have much opinion about, which I don't know, maybe I should, but sometimes I say, no, I want this. This is what I want. But Lewis just did a fabulous job with the costumes.
Yeah, the design, of course, is just impeccable.
And Guillermo has a color palette. He thinks like that. I want this to be warm. I want this to be cool. I want this. He lit it like a black and white film. The camera was moved like a 40s studio film. There was no handheld. It was all dolly shots and crane shots, and it was like I thought Spencer Tracy was going to walk on the set any minute. It was like it's like this is what it must have been like to shoot back in those days.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Did you watch those 30s and 40s movies that Giles watches?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, my wife's a choreographer, so I kind of once we were together, I started to watch them more and love them. And then we do musicals together. We've done two where we co-direct and she choreographs, and we. I love musicals, and I love the fact that Giles loved them.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me about this. I mean, I don't want to get into spoilers, I guess, but this movie is, as you say, it's about a lot of things. It's all over the place, but one is very much these characters are all outsiders in their own way, and Giles is obviously closeted because it's set in the 60s, gay man who fears prosecution. I mean, what does he fear?
Well, I think it ruins your life if people know you're gay. Mm-hmm. You're ostracized. Mm-hmm. I didn't know anybody who was gay. I was in my high school until my 40th reunion.
Yeah.
And then there's a guy saying, "Yeah, I'm gay," and it's like because you just didn't do it. You didn't say it. You would be ostracized, especially in the world I came from. So. You're trying to just get through the day. And yet Giles at the same time doesn't want to see the civil rights. He doesn't want to see that the thing on television. Turn that awfulness off. I don't want to see that. I love that. I love it. Yeah. It's like come on, Giles.
Come on.
They're doing what you should be doing.
Yeah.
But he comes to learn. I mean, he does change, and he's kind of in his own world for a long time. And
out of fear, I think.
It is out of fear.
Yeah,
it's out of fear. It's.
That was one of several moments in the movie that felt like, oh, this is not just a 60s set fantasy. Like, this is also a 2017 movie.
Absolutely.
It's very relevant.
Absolutely. Because that's where 1962 is where Make America Great Again is what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. And if you were a straight white man, 1962 was great.
It's the ideal, yeah.
But if you were anybody else, it wasn't so terrific.
And this movie's about everybody else.
It's about everybody else.
Except Michael Shannon.
The Overlook. Yeah. But you can see where that path leads him.
Yes, right. In the universe of this.
And he's trying his best to live that life. Of 1962.
The color book. Coca-Cola advertisement type life.
It's the art that Giles is doing. People with smiles like that. I think there's a line in there where he said they're looking at Jell-O and they're just like, It's like, and the line is they want these people happier. You wanted to paint them. I say happier. The guy looks like he just discovered the missionary position or something. The missionary position. And it's like, what are they so happy about? Jell-O? Totally.
There's like so much sorrow about the American dream in that one line.
There is. It's like happier. I was happier. But it's it's a cautionary tale. But it is.
Sure.
It is a movie for now. He made it for now.
Yeah.
He did it. I mean, but it doesn't.
But it's also escapist, I think.
It is escapist, but it doesn't. It's not rammed down your throat. It's not. No. It's like, this is what the movie is. In fact, once I saw it, that's when I went, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a movie for today.
This is really because I grew up in that time. I loved it.
Yeah.
I had a wonderful, wonderful childhood. I had an idyllic childhood, and you think about how many people didn't.
Right.
Because they weren't allowed to.
Yeah.
Because they were different.
And we certainly did not think about them then.
We didn't.
No.
We didn't. I didn't.
Yeah.
It never crossed my mind. I thought everybody was me.
Right. Of course.
And it's different when you stand in somebody else's shoes and see the world through their eyes, and that's what Guillermo del Toro is doing with this movie. And that's what movies can do. That's what the theater can do. They can put you in that other place with that other person and watch their life through their eyes.
And that's what storytelling should be.
And there's a word called empathy, and it's a beautiful word. And to think that nothing, if it doesn't concern you, it's not important, is just it's a weird way to look at the world. Yeah,
it's irresponsible.
But it's easier. And well, I didn't do this when I did it this way, so why can't but the situation's not quite the same with you. You had advantages, other people. No, I didn't. Which is what I always thought. No, I didn't.
Right.
Yes, I did.
Right, and watching those stories and like experiencing that, like you say, it's not rammed down your throat, but like if you're put in someone else's shoes very gently, you're more likely to realize your privilege or realize that you're...
Well, it's even subconsciously. It's like, it's not even if you watch it and enjoy it and get lost in it, that's really a step. That's a great step.
Yeah.
Without maybe not coming out of the theater and go, maybe I should. But
sure.
But it's there. It's there, and it's beautifully done. And I think for the first week of reading this play, I wondered why it was in 62. And then all of a sudden I went, oh, okay. It made sense to me.
It makes everyone in the
Octavia's life, it's we all have our own lives. Octavia has her own world.
Yeah.
But we all come together to help our friend.
Yeah.
Who is the matriarch of this group?
This little motley crew.
Right.
That's true.
And she's the tough one. But she brings it out in us. She as Giles, once Giles. Well, the audience won't know what we're talking about because we're talking about
a film that hasn't come out yet.
The heist. But once I figure out my outfit, I say,
Yes.
We're ready.
That's, I know. And you're like, how old should I be? How old can I say that I'm going to be? Right. You do have a lot of the funniest lines in this movie.
He's a funny guy. I mean, he's well, he's pursuing things that he finds they're not really worth pursuing.
Yeah. And that's when he has that lovely kind of wake up. Like, I almost feel like it is a growing up.
It is absolutely growing up.
Recognizing his responsibilities.
And he says, "You're my only friend." And he said, "I don't know what this thing is, but I know it means everything to you, so I'll do whatever you want me to do."
Yeah, and I think because of that, and because of that moment where she pushes you, the audience is in on it too in terms of the importance. Like that's why
I don't even see it. I mean, I say I got to go. You're ruining my day. That's basically what I say to her. This is an important day for me. Why are you doing this to me? Yeah. Why are you telling me this now? This is crazy. I have to go.
You can't see it from her perspective.
And we can't help him anyway. We're nobody. We're nothing. So stop this. Mm-hmm. And he says, I just don't want to talk about this anymore. I mean, the writing is just really cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
It also just makes your character more interesting because if he were just like a deeply decent guy who's eternally loyal and made only great moral decisions, it's just
couldn't go anywhere.
A character,
he couldn't go. Yeah, that's a supporting character like this that really does have an arc.
An arc, okay, yeah,
and he has a big one.
Do you think it's rare for a supporting role to have arcs?
It is rare,
I guess that's the distinction between lead and supporting, almost.
Well, not necessarily. It's in bad scripts. It is. Sometimes you're just there to move the story along, give exposition, which is always fun. Mm-hmm. And when it's clunky, it's clunky. Sure. It takes a real skill to write exposition into a script that doesn't make it sound like, two siblings are talking to each other, and one says, "You're my brother." Yeah, and it's just like
our mom. Like the next level of subtlety is like our mom said.
Our mom, who's, as you know, is 5 feet 4 inches tall. Came down wearing that red dress that you remember you bought her for her birthday. It's like, God, who are we talking? Why don't we just turn to the screen and go? What's that? Line in Spaceballs where Rick Moranis is after the exposition, he turns to the camera and he goes, "Everybody got that?" That's what exposition is like in a movie. Cool. It's like, and it's just you see it over and over, and you can spot it a mile away. You just kind of go, "Really? I don't." Yeah, right.
Yeah, it is everywhere. Yeah. Greta Gerwig said that in her writing, for a long time she just had every character enter every room at the start of every scene and like say hello. And it's like you can just start in the middle of the scene. You can start in like the middle of their conversation and you don't have to have the character say, "Hello, I am so-and-so."
Her screenplay for Lady Bird is freaking brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, did you see that? Yeah. Did you see that film?
It's one of the few films I've seen. I have not seen anything. Yeah. But I saw it.
I can't stop thinking about it.
At Telluride. It's a fabulous film. Yeah. Really fabulous.
Oh, you were at Telluride. Cool.
Yeah.
And so awards. You've done the awards circuit.
I have.
Several times in several different awards circuits. What would you say to an actor who's new to that? It's a lot of pressure, right?
Well, it's no. You have to love the project. Mm-hmm. I think it's something that if you're probably not going to get an award. I mean, that's the bottom line. You're not going to get an award, or you're not. But you're probably not.
Just likelihood.
You're just not. So, but if you love the project you're in, that's kind of where you put your energy to, and try to get people to see it, because that's But if you're on, if you're out trying, it's just. You have no control over anything, and it's just the odds they're not great. They're not great. There's so many great perforces out there. There's just so many.
So you just accept that that's part of the gig almost.
Yeah. So, but Fox Searchlight is so behind this film that to say no to doing things for it is I think unfair. No, if unless I'm working, I'm the only actor that's not working of the group. Everybody else is working. So I'm you could have had somebody really interesting in here, but I got no job, so I'm here.
True.
But I mean, I don't, and I don't really like it. My wife says, she said, look, if you're going to do it, don't complain about it. Just
That's
do
a good
it.
attitude.
She said, you love the film, you love The Visitor. You bitched about having to do this and
The
that.
red carpets
she said,
and that.
oh, boo-hoo, I feel so sorry for you. She said, if you're going to do it, shut up and do it and enjoy it. Don't do it half-heartedly. Don't do it with anger in or chip on your shoulder. Yeah. What's the point? Yeah. It's a simple thing, but it's sometimes you need somebody to say that to you. And even now, if I go, and then I have to go, shit, stop. Right now, stop.
Right.
We don't hear that.
It's a good problem to have. Yeah.
And so, it's not a grind. It is not a grind.
Yeah. Good.
If you're an actor in films and have been as fortunate as I have been, and you don't love what you do, I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
Because there's so many jobs you could do that are miserable. This should not be one of them. I mean, it really shouldn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean there aren't times when you're angry. I mean, it's like anything else in life. But this is a great way,
of course,
to make a living.
Absolutely. Well, and it goes back to what you were saying about just you didn't have a plan B. You never.
It's not that I wasn't. I wasn't smart enough to have a plan B. I drove a laundry truck for 3 months.
Oh, just like in Shape of Water.
Yeah, just like it. But I had, just like in Shape of Water, I had 4 accidents in 3 months. Yeah, and I realized you can't even drive a laundry truck, buddy. So you better. I had no interest in anything else. I mean, I wanted to be an actor.
Well, there you go.
But I remember my father saying, "Why don't you be a history major? Have that as a minor to fall back on."
Uh-huh.
I say, well, what? So I was going to write Hamilton? I don't know what was I going to do with a history major. But so that was it for me. It never occurred to me not to do it.
Wow.
And I talk to young people. It's the nice part about being older is that you do have a perspective on things, and you kind of see it through the long lens here, and you see the world and your career and what's happened with as they say, a career is something you look back on. It is true. And I get sometimes young actors will ask me, there's a lot of doubt because it's tough, it's hard. And I say, if you're meant to do it, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out, and you will. And if you're not, then you go, no, this wasn't for me.
Yeah, which is all right.
And you'll know that too.
Yeah.
But and there's room. Seems like there's not, but there is. There's room.
Right. And you just got to kind of have faith in that. Well,
yeah. It's the only thing you can control is your talent. You can't control who hires you or fires you, but you can control your talent, and that's the joy of it. Is try to get better. Try to get better all the time. It's true if you're a musician or if you're a dancer or if you're a painter or a sculptor. You try to get better. You try to become more human. You try to just get better. And that you can control. The rest of it you can't.
That's excellent. We should wrap up, and I always ask that question of like, what is your number one piece of advice to early career actors? And it sounds like that's it.
It is. It's every actor I know has a different story. People want to know, well, how do I do this? Should I try and get an agent? I say, I have no idea. Man, I mean, I didn't have an agent until I was 37 years old.
Right.
No agent would talk to me. But you can't control that. What you can control is how good you are.
Yeah.
And if you have a belief in what you do,
I think that's.
I mean, you have to find a way in this profession, like any profession, and you have to believe that this is right for you. Doesn't mean it's right for everybody else. There's a million ways to do it. Right. There's a million actors, and there's a lot of great ones, and they all have different ways of doing it. But for me, that was the lesson for me is that's what I can control. Yeah.
That's excellent advice. Well, Richard Jenkins, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
It's been an honor. I definitely could have talked to Richard all day about his favorite artists and what makes him such a magnetic actor and all of that wonderful acting advice. That was really great.
Oh, it was so good. And he's got such a varied and interesting history in the business and the people he's worked with. It's astounding, really.
And and like he was saying, those people just make you up your game.
Absolutely, and his approach to acting in general was interesting. His philosophy and his mindset when he's in the moment, you know.
Yeah, well, and this idea of just living your life on screen and how much of that has to do with relaxing and with letting go, which I think is easier said than done. I mean, putting myself in the shoes of a working actor on film, which I sometimes try to do when I'm talking to these people, and that it just seems much harder than it. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, particularly considering they've got lights and a crowd of people staring at them, cameras, and it's amazing.
Listen, if you're a working actor and you're listening to this, more power to you. Yes. I have the most respect for your chosen profession, and like Richard Jenkins said, just keep persevering. I mean, he took those train rides every day from Rhode Island down to New York just so that he could do that 10-second audition every other day.
Yeah, and years later, he's at the Oscars.
There he is, exactly. Well, that was great. Shall we roll credits?
Yeah, I think so.
Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe for more interviews from the front lines of the industry's awards races. In the Envelope is recorded at Lotus Productions and Hyperbolic Audio in New York City. Thanks, as always, to producer, editor, and all-around podcast whiz, Jamie Muffett. You can follow him on Twitter at JamieMusicNYC. You can follow me, Jack Smart, on Twitter at JackSmartWrites. Thank you, of course, to the team at Backstage, the most trusted name in casting. That's Peter Rappaport, Mark Stinson, Francis Ramos, Rawaan Alkhatib, and especially the astounding Kasey Howe. For more awards and industry coverage, head over to Backstage.com. Thanks for listening. Tune in next time for another glimpse in the Envelope.